May 22, 2026. Thomas Tuchel announces England's World Cup squad, and immediately the internet loses its mind. No Cole Palmer, no Phil Foden, no Trent Alexander-Arnold, no Harry Maguire. Sky Sports calls it probably the most shocking squad since 1998. Maguire posts on social media saying he's shocked and gutted. Fans are furious, pundits are baffled, and sitting in front of the cameras, Tuchel says something that tells you everything you need to know about what he's trying to do. Teams win championships. It's as simple as that. Not talent, not names, not reputations, teams. And here's the thing, when you actually look at who Thomas Tuchel is, when you look at his record, when you understand how he thinks about knockout football, these decisions stop looking controversial. They start looking like exactly what England have been missing for 60 years. Let's start with what everyone's talking about, the names that didn't make it. Cole Palmer, Chelsea's Young Player of the Year in 2024. The man who scored in the Euro 2024 final against Spain. One of the most exciting talents England has produced in years. Left at home. Phil Foden, the double Player of the Year in England just 2 years ago. Manchester City's brightest star, a player who was supposed to be the future of English football. Left at home. Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the most creative defenders in world football. A Champions League winner with Liverpool. 64 Premier League assists, more than any defender in history. Now playing for Real Madrid. Left at home. Harry Maguire, England's most experienced center back. A man who has started in 2 European Championship finals. Left at home. On paper, it looks insane. These are 4 of the most talented English players of their generation. How do you leave them all behind? But then you look at what actually happened this season, and suddenly the picture changes. Palmer's campaign has been blighted by injuries. A groin problem kept him out for 2 months in the autumn, and he's never quite looked the same since. He's scored 10 goals in 33 appearances, a massive drop from his remarkable debut season, where he had 27 goals and 15 assists. Chelsea sacked 2 managers this year. The club has been in turmoil, and Palmer only scored once in his last 15 games for club and country. 14 games without a goal. That's not the form of a player you build a World Cup campaign around. Foden has lost his place in the Manchester City starting 11. His form has faded since a bright start to the season, and Pep Guardiola has increasingly left him on the bench. In England's final warm-up game against Japan, a match Tuchel used to assess his options, Foden was anonymous, peripheral at best. He wore the number 9 shirt, but he's not a striker. When a cross came into the 6-yard box, the kind of ball Harry Kane would have buried, Foden was out-jumped by his marker. It was a performance that raised more questions than answers. Alexander-Arnold had a difficult debut season at Real Madrid. Injuries disrupted his rhythm. He struggled to adapt to a new league, a new language, a new system. He's been booed by his own fans at the Bernabeu. He hasn't been in an England squad since March. The player who was supposed to conquer Europe has spent most of the season fighting for his place. Tuchel was asked if he feared leaving players of this quality behind. His answer was direct and unflinching. Palmer wasn't as decisive as previous seasons. He wasn't available for us a lot. He competes in the right half 10 position, where we decided for Jude, Morgan, and Ebbs, who are outstanding players, had better seasons, and were more decisive in our camps. That's not a manager being stubborn. That's a manager who cares more about winning than about keeping everyone happy. When Tuchel took the England job in January 2025, he made something clear from day one. He wasn't interested in managing reputations. He was interested in building a team. I want us to play with excitement and the hunger and desire to win, not a fear to lose. He watched England at Euro 2024 under Gareth Southgate. He saw the tension, the pressure, the players looking like the shirt weighed 1,000 pounds. He saw a team that played not to lose rather than to win. A team that retreated when it should have attacked. A team that froze in the moments that mattered most. And he decided that changing that mentality mattered more than collecting the most talented names. Look at who he did select. Look at the choices he made. Dan Burn, 34 years old, Newcastle defender. Not the flashiest name. You won't see him on the cover of magazines, but a leader, a presence, Someone who sets standards in the dressing room and demands accountability from everyone around him. Someone who makes the players next to him better. Jordan Henderson, 35 years old, currently at Brentford. This will be his 4th World Cup, equaling the record for an English outfield player. Again, not there for talent alone, there for experience, for leadership, for understanding what tournament football demands when the pressure is at its highest, for knowing how to handle the dressing room when things go wrong. Ivan Toney, playing in Saudi Arabia, scored 42 goals this season, has played just 7 minutes for England since Euro 2024. But Tuchel sees something others don't: a physical presence, a different option off the bench, and a player who's acclimatized to extreme heat, which matters when you're playing a World Cup in North America in June. When everyone else is wilting in the humidity, Toney will be ready. 22 of England's 26-man squad have won a trophy with their club since the start of last season. That's not an accident. That's not coincidence. That's a deliberate choice. Tuchel wants players who know how to win, players who've been through the pressure of finals and come out the other side, players who understand that talent alone means nothing if you can't deliver when it matters. Here's where it gets interesting, because Thomas Tuchel isn't just any manager. He's one of the best knockout football specialists in the world, and his record proves it. In January 2021, Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard. They were 9th in the Premier League. Their season was falling apart. The dressing room had lost belief. Tuchel came in with no preseason, no time to implement his ideas, and a squad that had completely lost its way. 4 months later, Chelsea won the Champions League. Think about that. 4 months, from 9th place to champions of Europe. In the knockout stages alone, Tuchel beat Atletico Madrid, Porto, Real Madrid, and then Manchester City in the final. 4 knockout rounds, 4 elite opponents, 4 wins. 0 goals conceded against Atletico Madrid, 0 against Porto, 0 against Real Madrid, 0 against Manchester City in the final. During that extraordinary run, Tuchel beat Zinedine Zidane, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Diego Simeone, and Carlo Ancelotti, 5 of the greatest managers in modern football, without conceding a single goal to any of them. He became the first manager in history to reach the Champions League final in consecutive seasons with 2 different clubs, PSG in 2020, Chelsea in 2021. Nobody had ever done that before. He set the record for the most Champions League wins in a manager's first 50 games, surpassing Zinedine Zidane with 32 victories. At Chelsea, he led the team to the final in every single cup competition he entered: FA Cup final, Carabao Cup final, Champions League final, Club World Cup, UEFA Super Cup. He won a trophy on average every 33 matches he managed. His overall record in knockout games is over 70%. His semi-final record at Chelsea was extraordinary: 6 wins and 1 draw from 7 matches, scoring 10 goals and conceding just 1. This is not a manager who got lucky once. This is not a fluke. This is a manager who understands knockout football at a level very few people in the history of the game have ever reached. When Tuchel talks about team over talent, he's not being philosophical. He's not speaking in abstractions. He's being completely practical. World Cups are different from club football. You don't have months to build understanding. You have weeks, sometimes days. And if your players don't fit together, if they don't trust each other, if they're not absolutely clear on their roles in every phase of the game, you lose, no matter how talented they are individually. Tuchel referenced this directly when announcing his squad. Who do we really trust? Who delivered for us? Who created a culture, especially from September onwards? Who set the standards? Who were the drivers? Who is the leadership group? We heavily relied on that because the connection has to be there. This isn't about punishing Palmer or Foden for having difficult seasons. It's about recognizing that in tournament football, cohesion beats collection. A team that knows each other, that's trained together through qualifying, that's built relationships and understanding over months of work, has an advantage over a squad of individuals who were assembled based on reputation alone. And look at how Tuchel sets up his teams tactically. At Chelsea, he played a 3-4-3 that could shift to a 5-4-1 in defense. Wingbacks pushed high in possession, dropped back to form a 5 when defending. Every player had clarity. Every player knew exactly what was expected of them in every phase of the game. There was no confusion. no hesitation, just execution. That kind of system requires discipline. It requires players who will sacrifice personal glory for the team. It requires the kind of mentality that doesn't always come naturally to the most creative, most talented individuals. England have reached 2 consecutive European Championship finals. They lost both. They haven't gone beyond the semi-finals at a World Cup since winning it in 1966. 60 years of hurt, as the song goes. The talent has been there. The names have been there. So what's been missing? Watch England at the last few tournaments. Watch the body language when the pressure builds. Watch the tension in their movements. Watch the fear in their eyes. When Southgate's teams needed to close out games, they retreated into their own half. When they needed a goal, they froze. The pressure of the shirt became a burden rather than an inspiration. Tuchel is trying to change that. He's not just selecting a squad, he's building a team that believes it can win. Not a collection of stars hoping it comes together on the night. A team. He quoted Rafael Nadal when announcing his squad. "I'm not a winner, I'm a competitor." That's the mentality he wants. Not players who expect to win because they're talented. Players who are prepared to fight, to suffer, to do whatever it takes. Players who understand that a World Cup is not won by collecting the best individuals. It's won by building the best team. The decisions Thomas Tuchel made will be judged by one thing and one thing only: what happens in North America this summer. If England win the World Cup, leaving Palmer and Foden behind, will look like genius. If they lose in the group stage, it will look like madness. But here's what I keep coming back to. For 60 years, England have tried the other way. They've picked the biggest names. They've collected the most talented players. And they've fallen short, again and again and again. Tuchel is trying something different. He's betting that unity beats talent. And if there's any manager in world football who understands how to win knockout tournaments, it's the man who beat Simeone, Zidane, Guardiola in one Champions League run without conceding a goal. What do you think? Has Tuchel got it right? Or has he made the biggest mistake of his career? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.